Hello everyone, this is Starry Ari's ASMR. I am Ari, and today I would like to take a little bit of time and write out a grocery list for my upcoming camping trip. So I am doing a lovely long weekend camping trip with my husband and our dog, and we have a bit of an idea for the meals that we want to have. So I'm going to write out our meal plan and then write out the groceries that we need. And some of these are going to be things that we actually already have, but I'm also going to use this as a bit of a packing list. So I'm going to write out everything that I want us to bring, and then for actual grocery shopping I can go down the list and check off the things that we already have so that I can just see what we need to get. So I'm first going to start with our meal plan, and I printed out this cute little meal plan sheet. I just threw this together on Canva because I love Canva. And it says camping meal plan, and I added a couple of cute little icons. There's a little tree and then a little camping tent. And then because we're going to be gone for the long weekend, I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But you will see Friday, I only have dinner on here because we will be leaving for the campground after work. So we will not need breakfast or lunch. We at least won't need to plan for breakfast or lunch. Saturday we do need breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as Sunday. And then we're leaving on Monday, so the only thing that we really need to plan for is breakfast because we will be gone before lunchtime. So that is the gist of what I need to plan for. Just going to take a pen here, and I'm going to start filling out what I think we're going to have. Some of this is going to be a little bit kind of like loosey-goosey. It's going to be flexible for when we're actually out camping. And a lot of this is just repeats of what we usually do when we're camping. So Friday for dinner, we always plan to just do sandwiches and salads. And we also always end up having hot dogs for dinner Saturday or Sunday, but because it's just the two of us, hot dog packages kind of have a lot of hot dogs, so we always only plan for sandwiches and salads for Friday dinner, just in case like setting up our campsite takes a lot longer and we don't really want to get a fire going so we can roast hot dogs. So we just always plan sandwiches and salads. So that's what we're going to plan for Friday. Now let's move to breakfast for Saturday. And breakfast is another one that we can be kind of flexible for between, what we do Saturday versus Sunday. It's really just what we're feeling, but I'm going to plan just a really basic breakfast, kind of for the same reason we're just getting settled in the campsite. I don't want us to plan to make a more intensive breakfast if we're pretty sure we're not going to. So for Saturday, I'm just going to plan fruit, yogurt, bagels, and oatmeal. That kind of sounds like a lot, but it's kind of split between what me and my husband typically prefer. usually when we're camping, I love just getting the oatmeal packs and then having some fruit. And then my husband sometimes kind of goes back and forth between having some yogurt and fruit or bagels and fruit. And then when I'm planning out our grocery list, I'll kind of get into the details a little bit more about like what specific fruits I think I want to bring. So that will be our kind of really basic breakfast. And for lunch on Saturday, we're just going to plan the same sandwiches and salads. Just like that. Really basic, super flexible. For dinner, though, on Saturday, I am going to plan our hot dogs. And then usually we have like a big bag of salad mix, and so we usually have that and baby carrots, and we'll have that with chips and stuff on the side for the hot dogs. But I'm not going to write all of that down. So that will be our dinner for Saturday. And then Sunday, breakfast. One of my favorite things to do when we are camping for breakfast is make breakfast burritos. And we make these in our cast iron skillet. And so we will cook up some bacon, and then we scramble eggs in some of the remaining bacon grease in our cast iron. And then we have like basic, breakfast burritos. And it's like so good. I feel like we never really cook in a cast iron outside of when we're camping. So I always look forward to our breakfast burritos. So we'll plan for that on Sunday again. We might, wake up Saturday and decide we want to do it then. But either way, we at least have a good plan for it. Lunch is going to be boring sandwiches and salads again. Sandwiches and salads. And then dinner on Sunday, I'm going to plan our foil dinners. So I'm just going to write foil dinner. But what I am thinking for our foil dinner is a good classic, like potato and sausage and red bell pepper and onion and good seasonings. And we did a version of that last year for camping, and it turned out so good. Usually we used to do like baked potatoes and corn on the cob. I might still do corn on the cob because I love fire roasted corn on the cob. Like, it is just so delicious. So I might still plan for that, but the actual foil dinner part, I think I'm gonna do the, potato sausage kind of dinner. So we'll plan for that on Sunday. Again, we could scooch that around and swap it with hot dogs on Saturday if we're feeling really ambitious. And then that just leaves us breakfast on Monday, and we're just going to do the same basic breakfast up here. So I'm just going to write fruit, yogurt, bagels, and oatmeal. I suppose I could have just written like basic breakfast and I would have known what I meant by that. But that is what we're gonna do for breakfast on Monday, because then we are just kind of tearing down and we don't really want to like cook something in the cast iron and then have to like clean it out and do dishes and stuff. So we just like super simple, super basic breakfasts for the day that we're leaving. So here is our meal plan all set. So now I'm going to set this off to the side so that I can write out my grocery list. This is another cute just little template that I put together in Canva. I love any excuse for me to use Canva. So I have just the same cute little drawings, the little icons at the top. It says camping grocery list. So I'm going to try and fill this out in a way that kind of makes sense to me by category, but I imagine it's going to get a little messy. But it's okay. it's at least a good guide for me to use when we're actually doing our packing and shopping. So I'm going to start with, I think, the kind of veggies and fruits. One of my favorite fruits to bring is watermelon, because I absolutely love and adore watermelon. It is just so tasty, and I usually pre-slice it before we go out there, and I just have it in a Tupperware in the cooler. That way I don't need to deal with cutting up watermelon, because I feel like it's really messy, and I hate like having to clean up dishes and the table and stuff while we're camping. It's just not as convenient, so I usually pre-cut it before we go out. So we're gonna do watermelon, and then a classic for our breakfasts is bananas. I usually have a banana at breakfast. I love bananas. They're just, a good staple fruit for us to have. And another one that we usually will have with lunches, apples. And we typically will slice them up and just have apple slices at lunch. And I do love apples. So I'll do that. And then I think that might be all of the fruit that we want to bring, because we kind of always have to balance how much we want in the cooler versus like how much can be outside of the cooler. And we don't want to like pack too much and have it go bad with like all of the bugs. So I think fruits, that might be pretty okay. I might get grapes, but I'm not going to write them down. We'll see. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to write salad mix. And usually we just get pre-mixed salad because I'm lazy and I don't want to put together our own salad mix. So that's just what we do. So we're going to do salad mix for all of our lunches and the odd, dinner. And then for the foil dinner, we need potatoes and bell peppers, onion, garlic, and I think that's it for the veggies for the foil dinners. And we need sausage, but I'll put sausage later, I think. But for now, I think that's a pretty good representation of all of the fruits and veggies, the produce that we need. So now let's maybe go on to other, like maybe pantry items. So for sandwiches, I'm thinking we definitely need bread. And we need lunch meat. And I like having cheese and pickles. And then we need condiments. I'm going to do mustard and mayo. And for sandwiches, and we usually also add, salad mix on our sandwiches for like the lettuce. And I think that is everything we need there for sandwiches. I am going to have maybe some like snacky chips, or, sometimes we'll get like Sun Chips or like Smart Pop popcorn or corn nuts or something. So I'm just going to write chips, and then we'll just see what we get. Do chips. And I think that is everything for sandwiches. And salads, we already have salad mix, but I do want to bring a dressing, and we usually just bring ranch. And I'll leave it up to my husband. Maybe I'll do ranch / Caesar, because he sometimes does want to bring Caesar. And if that's the case, I'm usually fine with like going without ranch, so we don't have like both of them in the cooler. So we'll decide which dressing we want to bring. So that is everything for dinner for Friday and for lunches where we've got the sandwiches and salads. Oh, that does remind me, I forgot a veggie. We always have baby carrots. So this is a sad little veggie that's going to be down here all by itself, not with these other fruits and veggies. So we do always have baby carrots. I love carrots so much, and baby carrots are just such a convenient thing that you can just kind of have on the side with any of your meals. So there we go. We've got all of that. So now I'm going to move on to thinking about maybe breakfast. So breakfast, we do want our fruit, and we've already got our fruit listed up here. We want some yogurt. Usually my husband brings a few of his little like Greek yogurt, single like individual packages. We'll do yogurt and bagels. We don't really get bagels like just regularly in our daily life, except for when we go camping. We always get bagels, and having a bagel that's like toasted over the fire is just like so special. So I will pick up some bagels, and then oatmeal. So I do want some oatmeal, and usually I get oatmeal packets. When I have oatmeal at home, I just make my own oatmeal, but when we're camping, I think we tend to eat like slightly unhealthier than we do when we're at home, but we don't go camping all the time, so we just kind of, do what we're feeling. And I feel like we always end up going hiking and walking around a lot more, so we're also like being a lot more active than we might be when we're just hanging out at home. So I think it kind of balances out, and it's fine. And for breakfast as well, we do want usually some tea and coffee or hot cocoa. So I'm going to write tea and hot chocolate, because hot chocolate is also a really fun thing to have at night. And we have a little kettle that we can just pop on the fire and like heat up our water that way. And then I'm gonna actually put hot chocolate / coffee ? Because my husband has been drinking a lot less coffee, so I will leave it up to him if he wants to bring. Usually we bring some like instant coffee that he can have, so I'll leave that up to him if he wants that. I think that's most of our basic breakfasts. I might think of other things as I'm going along, but I think that's pretty much everything for the basic breakfast. And then I've already got our sandwich and salad stuff. Oh, I am gonna pack peanut butter and jelly, because usually when we do sandwiches while we're camping, we do the savory like meat and cheese sandwich, but sometimes it's just kind of nice to have peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's just a good classic. So I'll do peanut butter and jelly, and then let's move on to, I think, another dinner. So for another dinner, we have hot dogs. So for that, we need obviously hot dogs. Right, hot dogs and hot dog buns. We got hot dog buns, and then we will have chips and salad mix on the side. And we do need ketchup, and I don't have ketchup here with the other condiments, so I'm gonna write that over here. But we'll need ketchup, and then my husband likes mustard on his hot dogs, so we've already got mustard over here. And I think that's it. Some years we go for chili and we make like chili dogs, but this year I think we'll just keep it really basic and just do basic hot dogs. And after that, let me think about, desserts. What is, the most classic American camping dessert? It's a s'more. So you bet that we are going to be having s'mores. So for that we need graham crackers and chocolate. And sometimes we get a little bit crazy and we'll do like Reese's peanut butter cups or the Hershey's like cookies and cream, and we get real wild. So I'll leave it up to whatever we're feeling when we actually do shopping and see what chocolates we want to get. And then we also need marshmallows. I love marshmallows. And that is pretty much everything we need for s'mores. And I think that's kind of the only like dessert that we're planning on bringing. I'll kind of think about snacky stuff later and see if there's anything else I want to bring. But that's kind of going to be our main dessert. Of course, we want to have s'mores over a campfire. So that is everything I think for our Saturday meal plans. Moving into Sunday, we have the breakfast burritos in the morning. So we need tortillas and we need eggs and bacon, and I don't think we end up needing to like cook the eggs in butter, but we usually bring a little bit of butter just in case. And I don't think we'll even need butter for the foil dinners. I think we'll just pre-mix and like prep that in like an olive oil seasonings and have it in a Ziploc bag, and then when we get out to camping then we'll put it in the foil. So I don't even know if we need butter, but I'm going to write it down just in case. And then I also like to have a little bit of shredded cheese. I know I have cheese written down already over here, but I get the really small packets of pre-sliced cheese because my husband doesn't eat cheese. I'll do sliced cheese, and then I also have a little bag of shredded cheese. So I'm going to do that for my burritos. And we need salsa. And let me think. Sometimes if we have leftover like onion or bell peppers, we'll fry that up with the eggs as well. Or like extra potatoes, but I think I will just kind of leave it at that for the breakfast burritos. That's all that we need for Sunday breakfast. And then Sunday lunch, we have sandwiches and salads, and we've got that all covered. And then it's just the foil dinners. And foil dinners, we have the potatoes, bell pepper, onion, garlic, and then I'm gonna do sausage. I'm not sure if I want to do like andouille or like Polish sausage, but I'm gonna write sausage, and then we will figure out which one we want to do. And I think that might be everything we need for these. I'm not gonna write like olive oil and seasonings and stuff because we just have all of that. I usually don't really write those on my grocery lists anyways. I don't think we're planning on packing them other than like salt and pepper. So it might seem kind of arbitrary what I'm writing down and what I'm not, but for some reason in my head it makes sense. So we've got the foil dinner done, and then Monday morning is just the basic breakfast again. So we've got all of that. So let me think about the things that I am missing. And I'm thinking for tea and for oatmeal, I do need milk. And I like to bring some little packets of sugar. And then that is usually us for, we use the milk for creamer and then sugar for like coffee or tea. And I want to get some water jugs as well as some plastic water bottles. We usually just get a big thing of water bottles, and honestly it lasts us like a year because we also pre-fill like all of our reusable water bottles and we freeze them, and then we put them in our cooler, like at the bottom of our cooler, and that way we have really cold water. We don't need to use as many water bottles, but I think anytime that we're camping, I'd rather be so much safer than sorry. So I always bring water jugs for like hand washing, washing our dishes, and then water bottles for drinking, just in case we run out of the like reusable water bottles. So we'll have that, and then I'm thinking for any other drinks. We usually like to have some little like Mio like water flavoring. I guess it doesn't have to be specifically Mio brand, but in my household we call like all of the water flavoring stuff just Mio. It's like calling it like Kleenex or like Tupperware or something like that, so we will have some of that because that just, makes it really nice to have a little bit of flavor in our water if we want that. We don't usually bring soda. My husband drinks more soda than I do, but usually like at home and stuff, we don't really drink soda very often. But another drink I do want to bring is cider, some hard apple cider. I love hard ciders. I think that's my favorite alcoholic beverage, and we don't really drink very often, but whenever we go camping, I do like to get a couple of ciders to have because it's like hanging out around a fire and you can just like drink a nice cider and just enjoy nature. So I am going to pick up some cider, and I think that might be it for kind of drink things here. And let's see what else. I'm sure there's some other snacks. Oh, I'm gonna write like granola bars because whenever we go camping, when we do like little hikes and stuff during the day, we always like to grab a few granola bars for our day bag just to make sure that we have them on us. And sometimes we do like trail mix instead of granola bars, but again, we'll just decide that when we're actually doing the shopping. So I think that this might be it, and all written out like this, it looks like a lot. And we do seriously overpack. Like, we do not need all of this food, and we always have so much left over after we come home. But that's kind of one of the fun things about camping too, is that we can then like use up some of our leftovers. Like, we always end up having more marshmallows because they don't make small bags of marshmallows. Like, we usually have to get like a pretty big bag of marshmallows, at least like more than what my husband and I need for just a couple nights camping. But I think that is pretty much it. I will do another look through, I think, off camera, and just think about anything else that I missed. Again, it's not organized in the best way, but it'll do. This also doesn't have, all of the extra things like the paper towels and napkins and like cutlery and, like our hot cups and like all of that stuff. Ice, like it doesn't have any of that listed. This is just kind of our main food items that I want to think about and make sure that we grab. If I forget something off of this list, at least we have like most of the basics, right? Like, I'm not going to be hurting for food. Well, I hope that you enjoyed hanging out with me as I filled out this little grocery list of items for my camping trip. And last year for our Memorial Day camping trip, I did do a little camping vlog after, and I posted that video, so I might do the same thing again this year. I feel like that was kind of fun to put together. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful